guess early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s.
Because he was playing college baseball,
Right.
probably at the very late 80s.
Yeah. Then he demoted himself to school baseball. With Whitey. We played down with the second.
Is that Gary Wilson? Because we're on 46th.
Oh, this is when we were all working downtown.
Oh.
He still works downtown.
Yeah, he does. He used to play it.
University of Chicago. He played. Yep.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I will say that nothing ever got over his head. But a lot of things fell from him.
Carl, you can't be nice. You could have stopped it.
Nothing got over his head. No, he was. There was always, when the other teams found out that they just got beat by a bunch of players, they should have been. Yeah, that aggravated him. Yes, that's a good way to say it. Call the Village of Vernon board meeting to order. Today is October 1. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
Roll call, open meeting, all compliance check.
President Carl Fortner.
Present.
Trustee Jim Solani.
Present.
Trustee Gary Wildy.
Present.
Trustee Fred Mahalik.
Present.
Trustee Lorene Dashick.
Present.
Mr. President, note for record, you do have a quorum of your village board. Also note for the record that DPW Director John Henneberry is here. Mr. President, the agenda was posted inside and outside the Vernon Town Hall to the media on the Town of Vernon's website. You are in full compliance with the open meetings law.
Thank you. I will read item 4 on the agenda. The following, notice of possible closed session. Consideration and possible action on a motion to convene an executive session under Wisconsin State Statutes 19.851E, deliberating of negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically shared services with the Village of Big Bend and Waukesha in the town of Mukwonago and Waukesha County. In Wisconsin Statutes 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, more specifically Scenic Ridge of Big Bend Homeowners Association, and 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically the village clerk treasurer. Included in closed session will be the village board, and the village attorney may be available by telephone. Motion will require a roll call vote. No action will be taken in closed session. Okay, number 5, public comments. We have Mr. Doring here, but he is first on the agenda, so we will have him come up. For that, no public comments. We will go right to 6A, Harvest View modification of developers agreement. So I think we, as I understand it, this is our, well, maybe you should state your name and address for the record, or your business address for the record, so
Sure.
we have it.
Jim Doring, I'm the Director of Development and Acquisitions for Zilber Limited, which is the managing member of Town Corporate Park of Big Bend LLC, the owner of the land that the Harvest View subdivision plat is on. Our address is 710 North Plankington Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53203.
Okay, and I understand that it's, I see we're up to draft 5 or draft 6?
Draft 6.
Draft
amendment
6. And so you've gotten extensions before,
I have.
and as I understand it, you're not, well, you can explain it, well, you're not quite ready to start, I mean, it's just vacant land. You've got your plat. This is in the village of Big Bend, by the way.
Yes.
And Vernon is interested in it because
We-
we've got
we
a temporary cul-de-sac that we need to connect into your
Yes.
proposed roads.
Yeah, when we received approval for the final plat of the Harvest View subdivision that was recorded, Oakview Road, Oakview Drive, I believe it is, in the town of Vernon, a town of Vernon jurisdiction, was a connector road into that development. On the north end of that road, there was a temporary cul-de-sac done years and years ago, well before my time. And with that, the town of Vernon asked that with that road connection, that we put in a development agreement with the town of Vernon to address the connection of that road and the removal of that temporary bulb that is out there. So what we've been doing, because we have not developed the subdivision, and we don't believe we will here in the next year, to satisfy amendment number 5, we're asking for that extension. We're asking the same thing of the village of Big Bend.
And what, Big Bend, they're meeting tonight, aren't they? You're going
They
over
are,
there next?
but I didn't get onto their agenda.
Okay, so you'll be doing that probably in November, early November.
Yeah, they pushed me supposedly onto their October 22nd Plan Commission,
Okay,
and then onto their first meeting in November.
okay. Any, is there any timetable to start that subdivision?
There is not. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the residential market, especially new construction. The last time I was here, we weren't picking up any volume, and as you know, by the number of building permits in the town of Vernon and the village of Big Bend, there just isn't any traction. So there isn't justifiable for me to put all this money into dirt and just watch it sit there and spend my money. So with that in mind, our senior management has continued to put this project on hold until we believe there's going to be some level of absorption out there that can justify us putting the money into the dirt. As you know, construction costs have been skyrocketing. Example, lumber costs have gone up about 150 to 170% here in the last 6 months. So my example is we just recently raised our base prices on our homes, because we are also a home builder, by $20,000 effective 2.5 weeks ago, and most of it was due to lumber costs. So when you read the articles in the paper of new homes are costing a lot of money, they are. Our average home and lot packages for what we build start at about $550,000 and move up from there. Affordable is a very tough thing to describe, especially in Waukesha County, because land prices are up there, development costs are up there. I just read an article in the paper regarding discussions of affordable housing in Heartland. They were gonna have condos starting at 400,000, 2,000 square foot condos, and that village board had concerns of affordability. It's a very tough topic, and every time we turn, costs go up.
Part of this extension is we have a developer's agreement that's really technically being extended, but we also require a letter of credit so that your promises is, there's a financial backup. You mentioned costs increasing. I would think this letter of credit might have to increase the dollar amount as well. I think we typically send it to our engineer and
Yeah,
he looks at it, or you send the estimate over and he looks at the estimate and says, yeah.
Actually, the last 3 amendments, your your engineer has provided a value that they would like the letter of credit in. So I'm waiting for them.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
if you want us to provide a estimate of value for that letter of credit, we're happy to do that. But the last couple of years, at the time, the town of Vernon engineer was providing that number.
Okay, so did you ask already? Did you contact him, or did we?
My
or
only
did we do
contact's
that?
been through Karen.
Okay,
Always wait for the village board to decide what
Okay.
they want to do. But Jim is right. Typically, Andy Schultz always reviews it and gives a recommendation. It's incorporated into the agreement, and the board reviews and approves.
Yep. We do have a current letter of credit that goes obviously through the end of this year, and we've notified our bank that we'll be renewing it, and we're anticipating a new number.
Okay. So if we choose to extend here, I would assume that we'd make it subject to a revised letter of credit number by our village engineer. And then the question is, you want our village attorney, John Macy, to review it. I assume that review will be relatively short because I think he's looked at this form before in the past, and it's just a page and a quarter.
Yep, John's always been the drafter of the amendment. You guys have always presented to us the amendment for review and signature.
Okay, so we could have John at least review the amendment if the board chooses. Questions? Those are my
How
questions.
big is that parcel, by the way?
We own approximately 92 acres in total over there. This portion, the platted Harvest View subdivision, is about 31 of that 92 acres. It's the southern portion. We would have a connection at Oakview that your village has ownership and control over. Then also the Badger Meadows subdivision, I think it's Badger Drive, is also a connector for this subdivision.
And Badger Drive, I do believe, is in the village of Big Bend.
It is.
Yeah. Questions?
The downside to rejecting it? Say again, Jim,
The downside to reject it?
is there a downside?
No, I don't know, that's what Jim's asking.
Well, you know, what does he have to do over, or,
Yeah, the plat's been recorded, so the plat's in place. It's just a matter of, at the time we develop it, for an agreement with the village of Vernon to make that road connection and take out that bulb, and that's what this agreement already covers.
Okay.
It's making the developer make sure that he brings that bulb up, the bulb and the extension up to Vernon standards.
Yep.
Yeah, my concern would be what financial guarantee is there to make that happen? Get rid of the temporary cul-de-sac and flip it and extend it into the subdivision.
Subdivision.
this is one of those where the property owners actually own,
Yeah, oh, yes, they're all like that, actually.
Yeah,
are they?
Yeah,
we,
I went through that with Macy.
yeah, when we originally did this development agreement with the town of Vernon, we did have to meet with those adjacent property owners because the bulb does not fit within the right-of-way. And at that time, we got temporary construction easements from those property owners, giving them an understanding of where the bulb is and the corrective actions we would be taking in their front yards to take the pavement out of the portions that are there.
Right, so the pavement is on some of their property,
I believe 2 of the properties were directly affected by pavement.
right? Probably the two at the end.
Yeah, I think the bulb actually starts a little short, so it's a little south, because the north end of the bulb actually doesn't come to the property line.
It will, eventually. Okay, is
And
that
that's
gonna
part of
be,
what this agreement addresses.
is this, are you waiting for sewer and water too? Is that part of the,
We are not. Our current plat was based on well and septic.
so it's really an economic one, and,
It is. And that's why we continue to ask for the extension. Well and septic, when the Great Recession happened, got hit harder than municipal sewer and water platted lots. Yes.
yeah. Okay, any further questions? So I'm looking for a motion to approve. Let me just make sure I got this. Amendment number 5. This would be amendment number 5. Or is it-
Amendment
would be
number 6.
Amendment number 6. Okay, this is amendment, what we have in our packet is actually the amendment number 5. So this would be approve amendment number 6 to the developers agreement for the Harvest View subdivision, authorizing the village president to sign, subject to the village engineer updating the letter of credit amount, and subject to attorney review and approval.
Make that motion.
I think we got it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
My only question, Mr. President, is, Jim, I know you've never had a problem in the past, but would you have a problem signing the professional reimbursement form also?
No, not at all.
I'll email that to you
Yeah.
then, sir.
Yep, nope, we've
He's always done it.
we've always paid the bills in
They've
the
always
past.
paid. They're good, great, really good track record, guys.
Okay, should I do a friendly amendment, and also saying, subject to the developer signing the professional reimbursement agreement?
But I know he will.
I'll make that friendly amendment. You're gonna make a friendly second, Mr.
I will.
Swanee? Okay, let's put that in, just, I know you will too, but,
Mhm.
just to be complete. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Karen, I'll wait to hear from you.
That sounds good. I'll get right over, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up is procedure for removing restrictions related to groundwater engineering from plats or certified survey maps in shoreline floodland zoning jurisdiction. Here, it is a policy decision on your attorney's memo. We did talk to Attorney Macy about this, and just to get it clarified, what we're only talking about here is the basement restrictions. And basement restrictions, that is, you can't dig more than 2 feet in or 4, whatever it is. And Sean raised questions with Attorney Macy, and you've got it all in your packet. We contacted, or Sean contacted the county, and he's looking for the village to initiate the release. And so the question Sean has, well, can staff do it? Can Sean do it together? Village engineer do it? Or do we need to bring it to the plan commission, or do we need to bring it to the board? And to me, sitting on the board, when I was thinking about it was, well, what would the board do? They would just look to the planner and look to the village engineer to say, yeah, he met the, the engineering reports that says they can dig a 10-foot basement instead of a 2-foot basement. Okay, we'll accept those. Well, personally, I won't be able to make a decision like that without a professional engineer that's looking out for the village's best interest to tell me whether it's, those reports that were being shown are valid. So then the question is, well, all right, should we just have the village engineer and building inspector approve them? So that's the question. It's a policy question about a procedure policy. It used to be Waukesha County used to have to do it. And I think their staff did it. It never went to the county board. It'd be crazy. So, the planning staff did it there. And of course, they were, looking at the engineering reports and so on. You wouldn't take the homeowner's word for it per se. They have to come up with the evidence in the reports. So anything we do here, I think we should limit, first of all, we should very narrowly limit it just to the basement restrictions, as opposed to, we don't want them to just say all restrictions, but, just the basement restrictions. And the question is, who's gonna sign off? Thoughts about that? That's why it's on the agenda. Because it's new. County used to do it, now we have to do it as a village.
So if we take it off of, of the certified maps. How is anybody gonna know that there's a potential problem until after they dig the hole and it fills up with water?
Right. Well, that's the thing. It stays on unless it can be demonstrated by additional testing and soil engineering that foundation design the basements can be deconstructed. And so it wouldn't come off unless they can have their soil engineers to say it should come off. Otherwise, you're right. It's on there for a reason.
Right,
The initial soil borings are, the high water says you can only go 18 inches, foot, 2 feet, whatever it says. And to take it off, then they'd have to prove that conditions have changed such that they can dig deeper. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to take it off, or they shouldn't take it off.
right. That, this note here on the agenda doesn't really read that way, at least to me. It
Right,
sounds like
right.
we're just gonna carte blanche, not put it on anymore.
No.
And then that's, well, how is that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. Attorney Macy pointed that out, and on further reflection, it was like, well, yeah, it's an overly broad agenda item.
Okay,
And that's why I'm saying, we need to narrow it down just to basements, and you have to provide, the appropriate
so
testing and soil engineering.
it would stay on there unless the resident presented some documentation that our village engineer would have to approve.
Yeah.
Sound,
And maybe building inspector as well, I'd say have them both sign off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although Vince, I
Could
think,
I-
would follow the
yeah, that's what I
engineering,
would think, but,
but Vince should know, he's got a lot of practical experience in the area,
Yeah.
so. And they both should agree, and if they don't, then it doesn't get removed, in my view.
right,
And if we need to have a tiebreaker, then maybe we have a tiebreaker somewhere, but I would assume we don't need that as a matter of policy. Other thoughts? Gary, you got any?
No,
So, you think the staff should do it, or you think it should go up to the board? Maybe we just do a quick consensus here, quick poll.
I'd go for the staff.
Staff?
I think the staff should handle it, more in their area of expertise.
Right,
Staff? Okay, so,
And there are times, I just wanted to state to the board, there are times that even with staff doing this, they do confer with the engineering, and I did explain that to the property owner.
He
Had the
signed it.
property owner sign the reimbursement form, because this is not a typical zoning, and I just didn't want the town to get stuck with the bill, so
Yeah.
the property
Oh,
owner
yeah.
does and you saw that in your packet, so, because one of the things that has been said is they don't know what's happening, so.
well, it's in the residents' best interest to do it right.
Right.
Because otherwise, you're gonna have wet basement forever.
Yes, and a
Right.
sump pump that runs,
Yeah,
all the time,
Right.
potentially.
right.
I didn't even think there was any lots up there that they could build on, to tell you the truth,
Right,
in hidden lakes.
Yeah, this particular area too is sensitive, let's say.
Yeah,
But there's other I mean, this would apply to throughout the village,
Right.
Vernon. Okay, so we need to craft some kind of motion to establish a procedure let me just think, to release basement restrictions, release or modify, I suppose. There could be a modification, you know. You can release it, and it might be 4 feet now instead of 2. Yeah, release or modify the basement restrictions on, these are on deeds, right, or is it on the plat?
I would think it's on the survey or the deed.
Survey, yeah, let's not limit it, survey or deeds. It should be stamped both, right? And on the survey and deeds, provided that the terms of removal or modification are met as approved by the village engineer and building inspector. Does that make sense? I think that's what he is asking. Village building inspector and village engineer.
Or village staff, because then he has the protocol. If Vince, I just wanted to assure the board, if Vince ever has any concerns related to any groundwaters or gradings, he does call the engineer. We do the professional reimbursement, because there are some areas where Vince just wants to make 100% sure, and he calls in engineering, just to protect the town.
So we should say, no one's made the motion, but, yeah, village, I'm trying to figure it out. We should say the village staff and not list the village engineer and village building inspector, just to have everybody.
If you say the village building inspector and village staff.
Okay, building inspector and village staff, okay.
Because if he might need Sean, he might need Andy, he might need Tom. I mean, if it's something significant in engineering, then they pull in the big guns.
Oh, okay.
So when you say staff, all those people cover staff, and if they need legal, then they'll call in John.
Oh, that's true, too.
So when you say, Vince and staff, that motion would cover.
Okay, so we say the village, subject to approval by the village staff and village building inspector in the motion, so that we cover everybody. The county may also need to sign off on this, but that's not our task tonight.
They will, maybe not on this portion, but in any development, the county's involved.
Anything with stormwater, yeah, right. Okay, do we have enough of a motion there?
Yes, you do too.
Is there, I'll make that motion. Is there a second? There's a second by trustee Mahalik. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah. Right. Okay, establish ERU 2021 stormwater rate. Clerk treasurer, village president.
That has to be done today. Mr. President, you have always brought this to your board for their discussion and input. Try to put as much information in your packet in regards to what we know that we have in the funds right now. But we also know that John has a significant amount. He hasn't had time because of all the road work to give you all his projects. And you did see a history of what the town has done in the past. And my recommendation, based upon what John anticipates that we need done, is just to leave it the way that it is and really take a look at dusting off your 2008 ordinance and the actual plan that's in the budget. Because stormwater, you just never really know, and I know John would love to do lots and lots of projects, except, those culvert replacements are not cheap, but desperately needed in Vernon, so I wouldn't like to see you raise it, but if we could keep it at the $23, that would be terrific for road maintenance and culverts and stormwater drainage, and we might not do a lot of leaf pickup, but the village of Vernon does a lot of stormwater, and we want to maintain that. So if and when we get audited by the DNR, and the EPA, we can show them what we're trying to do in our community to manage stormwater runoff and maintenance.
Yeah, it was 23 last year, and it was probably 23 the year before. I can't remember the whole history. Well, you have the history here. So I would say 23 is, to me, is
These are culverts that go under the road,
right.
as opposed to the one parallel like the driveways. So do residents actually pay for this?
Yeah, we only do, cross culverts on the roads. We do not take care of any of the residents. That's on their own. That's,
Okay.
we've never,
John has replaced them, but we don't pay for them, right, John?
right. If there's certain
build that.
circumstances, if we had to do them, we will do them, but they will pay for them, yes. And pay us our time.
But the ones that go across the road, do the residents still get billed for that, or?
No.
Those are ours?
Those are ours.
So who are we charging the $23 to?
The $23 is a
They'll pay
special
for it.
assessment charge that has been established in 2008. And the people that pay that is the residents, everyone pays. We pay, churches, the people that pay the most are the farmers and churches, town, the village, fire departments. I mean, any non-pervious soil gets an ERU calculation based on non-pervious soil. So most residential developments are all just the $23. It's the bigger dollars on the ag buildings and these buildings, and Waukesha County pays. So,
In some senses, it's a way to get non-taxpayers to pay their share of our stormwater expenses.
Yeah, I forgot about how that all works.
right.
So it's not like if we have to spend the money, it's gotta come from either stormwater. If it's not there, then it comes from general property tax. So this
Right.
is a way to put the stormwater to the people causing the stormwater problem, impervious surfaces, which are roofs, driveways,
Right.
basically.
And that's what we'll, when and if the village ever gets audited, which we will, we try to maintain a high level, and I believe a much higher level than some cities. John does a really, for the amount of crew he's got, and he does a really, really good job.
Right, and I would like to dust off the 2008 report
Oh,
sometime,
gosh.
and also go through with John and, well, your office too, and make sure that we're appropriately capturing what should be stormwater and what should be on the property taxpayers.
And that's
What-
something, I'm sorry.
What stops us from raising that 23?
Could.
There's nothing,
mean,
Jim, absolutely.
It sounded like, you know,
The only reason I would suggest not is because you'd probably get another 83,000 in revenue in your upcoming taxing. You have about 35,000 left from a previous year, and maybe another 20 to 30 left. But if John does some of the cross culverts that he's done, a project can cost $40,000 easily. As you know, based upon the size of the cross culverts or some of the permitting and like I said, the nice thing is if you add the issue to that, the village has not looked at that stormwater report since 2008. The ordinance, I think, I would really, really strongly suggest that. It's been proposed in your budget. Our engineering staff that we currently have was the actual drafters of the ordinance and the stormwater. And I really think that's something that after they do that, really present that not only to the board, but do a stormwater presentation to our village residents so they understand why it's so important and why you charge that fee and why you do what you do.
I was just thinking that you indicated that we're behind what our plan, calls for. And the only way to catch up is to do more than our plan
Right,
in any given year. And the only way to do that is to get more money for it.
right.
We're limited on time, quite honestly. I mean, if I could put a crew on cross culverts all summer, I would be more than happy to do that. But we have 4 guys and I've got so many other things going on. That's really what's holding us back as far as accomplishing more, is just the lack of manpower, and the time to be able to do it. Yeah, you could do them all summer long, I mean, there's no doubt.
And the other issue too is if there's areas that John feels that need to be done, that he doesn't have the manpower, there's nothing to say that the village board can't contract the project out.
Well, that's what I was thinking, with more money, we
Right.
could contract
Right. Or
some of it.
John tries to partner too with the county and other municipalities on areas that we can work together and share the cost.
Yeah, some of the bigger ones, we partnered up with the county and stuff like that, so. And even, working with the neighbor communities too, I mean, we've done shared culverts with them, so.
How many ERUs do we have in the village?
Individually,
right? Yeah, if it's-
Probably 27 on the residential. You know what I'll do is this year when I do the ERU calculations, I want to present that worksheet to you. And then I also wanted, it was developed by our engineer, and what we did is piggybacked and modify. Every single year, I modify that based upon the developments, the buildings that hit that criteria. There's some other issues that I'd like to when they do dust that off, there's issues that I'd like to bring to the board that I found and John has found. But I think just the fact of resurrecting that, since it was developed in 2008, the mapping hasn't been done, the ordinance hasn't been looked at, and that would be you, Jim. Like, it's been a long time, and it's way
Yeah.
overdue. Don't you think, John?
Yeah, we gotta start doing something with these retention ponds and all that stuff. It needs to be stepped up. Maintenance and stuff like that.
And the other step I'd like to take eventually is to get a board member involved in the actual tabulation of a spreadsheet of all of our stormwater basins and catch areas and detention and retention ponds, to develop some type of good comprehensive overall overview of the town, and then have boards or an individual board members or, be involved in it. So when people ask, oh my God, what's this $23 for? How important it really is. And there's, the DNR or the EPA is not gonna move, we have to do it, so. But Vernon has done a good job, don't you think so, John?
Yeah, we're trying.
What's our current rate? 20,
23,
23 even?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, personally, I'd hate to increase it unless we can be able to tell people, this is what it's gonna get spent
Right,
for.
right.
And it sounds like we're not quite, there yet, and I think we have enough to cover what we expect in 2020 at 23.
Right, I mean, I
Or
don't have
2021.
anything huge
Right,
that I can think of offhand. It's just many smaller projects, and it's just a matter of getting to them and trying to get as many of those done as we can. I mean, like I said, there's a couple down on Edgewood Avenue that we've been trying to do for 3 years. We just have not gotten to.
So we haven't used all the funds
right. We have 35,000,
on a yearly basis anyhow.
Right,
we have a $35,000 balance.
cumulative, like a
Cumulative
contingency.
balance as of end of 19.
Okay.
And end of 20, I don't know if we're adding to that.
Yeah, we will add some.
We'll add some.
We'll know after the audit. But the nice thing is you'd have enough in there to do your, and your additional, approximately 80,000 that you're gonna tax for. You'll have enough there to do your projects, look at, what's really gonna tell you what's happening is when the engineers look at that plan that hasn't been looked at since 2008.
Yeah, I've got a lot of catch basins and stuff up in the Prairie side that need to be rebuilt, and we just haven't got the time to get up there and do them. So, I mean, if that's something that we could look at the contracting out, I mean, that would be,
Yep.
perfect example.
Because some of those contractors have equipment that we could never afford to
Yeah.
buy, but they can
Right.
blow out a culvert and seal. They can do some pretty neat stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we just don't have those resources.
Right. So, for discussion purposes, then I'd like to make the motion that we keep the
From more to-
ERU rate at $23,
For 2020.
21.
21, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 23, so I can sign that after the meeting.
All right.
Okay, we're on letter D. Rename the Vernon Personnel Committee, the Vernon Human Resource Committee, and as everyone is aware, we have resurrected the so-called Personnel Committee. They requested a name change. I personally don't have a problem with it. We've got 2 members, trustees on the committee, so one of them wants to make a motion to rename it, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to rename the Personnel Committee to the Human Resources Committee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Renamed. Letter E, Village Board requests Village of Vernon Human Resource Committee now to interview current deputy clerk treasurers. And here, we did, I think the Human Resource Committee is requesting this, from what I understand.
Right. Actually, we were going to do it at our last meeting, but it was pointed out to us by our ever vigilant clerk treasurer that it wasn't on our agenda. So she saved her bacon there, but we still would like to go through that process.
And the only thing, if I could ask, could we do it after the election? Because we are just slammed with the election, and I am short-staffed to begin with. And I'd like you, if you're going to speak with them, if you could speak to them when I'm just short-staffed, and is there a rush to get it done like next week, or?
Well, I would think you'd want to, it's one of those October 20th. You either do it before October 20th or after November 3rd, right?
Well, yeah, but even
before October 20th is what you're
yeah,
saying.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know what the time frame. I mean, is there,
Well, the only really issue that from my standpoint, at least that I can think of right now, is we're trying to do job descriptions. And, none of us on the committee are knowledgeable what they do to make sure that we cover the kind of stuff that, in our job descriptions.
so how long do you think you'd keep them at a crack? Oh,
Yeah, and it's not gonna be extensive.
the only thing is, your meeting's on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday?
You might have to schedule them,
Yeah.
when they're here,
Oh, yeah.
when they're regularly here. I don't want anybody to have any big anxiety. I know
Well,
how.
that's what I
I know
told
what employees are when people come in to interview them.
I
They
know.
get,
some of them are like, whatever, but some are like terrified. Oh my
Right.
God, am I losing my job?
Right.
And I said, well, committees don't do that.
Was that Linda that we were starting with, the one that came in?
Yes,
So I want you
I
to
think-
assure them they're not losing their jobs.
yeah.
It's just an
I mean, she
interview that-
said she either had something already written up, that would help us out, that she could just explain it, and it's kind of,
Yeah, because
that could go quick then,
15, 20 minutes would,
yeah.
and
That's all
but you'd
we're-
like to start this Tuesday, right?
We would like to,
Okay, because there's only two there,
yes.
and that's the only thing is,
You're gonna have to do 2 on Tuesday and then
Whatever
two
the
on
other ones
Thursday
are in.
or whatever it is.
right?
Right?
So if we could limit them to 15, 20 minutes, a half hour, get them done by
Well,
October
half
20th?
hour is pushing it.
Okay,
I mean,
20 minutes?
we are
Okay.
busy, we are swamped with the
Yeah, no.
election.
Get them done before October 20th.
That's it, you tell, right?
Well, there's one you'll never see. I mean, she's
Oh,
on
Tammy, you're-
vacation,
well-
and she's in, for COVID.
And if
She
people,
doesn't have it, but,
right, but if people, well, they could do it by telephone too, couldn't they? If they're uncomfortable.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
because we've got that phone right here.
so, however we can get it done, I mean, we just need to cover it so that we got everything. Now, if they, I don't wanna add to their
I'm just trying-
already full slate of things to do, but, if they would draft up just a list of stuff that they do, so that we would have the talking points, we could get that ahead of time,
Oh, that would
look
be
it over and
good.
see if we had any questions on that.
Yeah, because
That'd
there's-
make the interview go a lot faster, maybe.
Boy, if you could do some by phone too, if they could type up stuff and then that would help. I mean, you could cover a lot more people at
I
your,
think we're open to just about anything, as long as we can.
right. I know Tammy she's gone into Connecticut by Tuesday, so you won't be able to talk to her. Well, we'll work something out.
Okay,
So do we need, I suppose, a motion to authorize the Village of Vernon Human Resource Committee to interview current deputy clerk treasurers in the next, before October 20th, I'd say, of 2020 if possible.
if possible, yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, yeah, yeah, as long as it can be on the,
There's a second by trustee Dashik. Any further discussion? And again,
yeah, if
this
they
is
can,
not, don't, we don't want anybody to have anxiety about this.
that'll make them feel better.
Is that part of the motion?
No, they watch the meetings.
Trustee
Now,
Slavin.
yeah, I got a burning question though, not necessarily to the motion, but to the topic. This board appointed the committee to do this work, to develop the job descriptions as an example, you know, and the like. Why do we have to come back for, Mother, may I, for how we think we have to do it? You know what I mean?
Jim, could you say the last part again?
Yeah, why do we have to come back to the board and ask permission to do our job? You already told us to do our job. You know what I mean?
We-
You
we-
didn't tell them to interview people.
Well, we gave them direction, let's just think through this. We gave them direction to develop job descriptions.
Yep.
That we
For the
did.
clerk and the treasurer.
The clerk and treasurer, I don't know that we went as far as deputy clerks, but,
That was the concern, because that was never discussed.
right.
You know, from a board level, that, and does the board, is it only my office? Are they looking at the fire department,
Oh,
DPW?
yeah, we're not gonna go near there.
This is only clerk and treasurer.
Yeah.
Right, so, the
See,
fire
we-
department would be the fire commission, John, I mean, we could get into John's department next, but I think,
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
that's totally
but
separate, that's only if the
that's-
board says that's what we gotta do.
right, that would take another motion, let's
But
say.
we're looking at splitting the duties between clerk treasurer and a separate clerk and treasurer.
Because of the charter ordinance.
Right,
I understand that, but my question was, the deputies, I mean,
but they're doing they're doing duties of the clerk.
and the treasurer.
Right.
And the
Yes.
treasurer.
For us to delineate, we need to make sure we got that all covered.
Okay,
I mean, that's the only, that's
In your
it.
opinion, should there be a motion for the deputy clerks?
no, we've never had, committees have never told the board what they're gonna do. When the board needed something to do, they would say to the, you know, and maybe this is all part of it. I mean, if the boards always direct the committees don't direct the board. That's where
Right.
the,
In my mind, we were directed by the board to accomplish this, and we feel that's what we have to do to accomplish it. That's it. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I don't know where the line is.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, it's not a big thing. I know I've never done that on any of the other committees that I've served on. You know, we'd come back and present what we think to the board,
oh,
you know, as a recommendation or whatever.
and I totally understand it with the clerk and the treasurer.
Yeah,
My only confusion is, I mean, I know they work in that office. It's just like John's employees, they're in the DPW department. Do they do the same job as John? No, you know, but it's not a big issue.
it's, like I say, it's not burning a hole in my itty bitty
Right,
heart
yep.
or anything. It was just a question.
But I just wanted to clarify, it did say by October 20th, correct? I just wanted to make sure I
Is
had
that
that in the,
Is that a date that we need?
he's only saying that because the hall won't be available during the day.
Oh, and it would push it out
Right,
even further.
way beyond
Right.
the,
Oh,
Well, we could say, if possible, by October 20th. I'm not sure what your motion said, but no, we have to read it back.
well, as long as they don't have to physically, if they can be on the phone, that's not a problem.
Okay,
yeah.
I
so
did
that,
not make a motion, I was only asking Karen if a motion was necessary.
Okay.
to be deputy clerks.
Oh,
okay.
I
Well,
thought it was a
I
motion.
thought there was a motion on the floor.
I have a motion made by you and seconded by Lorene
What was it?
to authorize the Human Resource Committee to interview all the deputy clerk treasurers by October 20, 2020. That's pretty clear.
Right,
Stand corrected.
Yep.
if possible.
Oh, okay, if possible, okay.
Is that a friendly amendment? Is that okay? Is that a friendly amendment? Okay, if possible. In the event that someone's not available, for
Right.
example.
Right.
It goes
Yeah.
past the 20th, okay. And your point is well taken on the authority and the directive. It's-
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where that line is drawn in this particular case, but I do agree that it's the board directing the committees. You know, we can't have
Right.
committees just running, you know.
We did have committees that tried to do that, right, Gary?
Gary's like, yeah.
Yep,
All right, we don't need to get into that.
no,
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Menards, credit card. John, you're updating your list.
Yeah, it's just an annual update, take the old employees off, and they just send them out regularly, just to keep their, their system up to date.
And
So if I
everybody,
s-
everybody understands the policy, I assume, and,
Yeah, so as soon as, like I said, it's basically if I send a guy there to pick something up, materials or whatever, they gotta be on that list, or they're not picking it up, so. And they do check your, driver's licenses and everything there, so they're pretty thorough there, so. That's why I like to make sure that one's updated. And there's.
we do something similar for Home Depot?
Yes, we just did, actually, we updated, we had to give them all our information, birthdays, for all our employees and everything, and then, okay, so we'll have multiple ones from Menards, Burlington, this is for Franklin, and then, the West Dallas one we have not been keeping up with, cause we don't use them.
Sometimes Waukesha.
Oh, Waukesha,
Waukesha.
because,
When'd you go, yeah, Waukesha, the Speedway.
yeah, there
Franklin,
was one time when we
Burlington.
had to pick up some materials, and basically they were all out of it, we ended up going up to West Dallas.
Oh,
But
What-
each store makes you sign,
Yeah.
and then anytime there's a signature, it has to be you.
Each one has its own policy like this, so every store itself, it's not a group, umbrella
Nice.
policy where it covers all the stores. Each store has their own.
Oh, okay.
John, do these, I'm gonna use the word perpetual for lack of a better word right now, but they're not annual, they just continue on until you change names on the.
Oh, no, they send an update every year.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah,
That's-
yeah.
Or if John requests, if employees leave, he requests the form to come back,
Yeah,
so we make sure that we get them all.
and it's,
Because I didn't see anything on the form that indicated that.
We've already done that with this one.
yeah, we've already updated for the year, but this is just to update the personnel, yeah.
Right. So we're looking for a motion to, yeah, sorry, you can do it.
I make a motion to approve the credit card application for authorized users with Menards. Do I need to have?
And authorize the village president to sign it?
Yes.
Okay.
And is this a particular Menards or is this?
This is the Franklin one, yes.
Menards,
Franklin.
Franklin Menards.
Yeah, in compliance, let's finish your motion, please. In compliance with the Vernon credit card policy.
That's correct.
And you just need Franklin, or you need them all?
Just that
Just
one
that
for
one.
now, unless
Okay.
they send me another one updated, I'll contact the other one and see who they have on the list again and just double check.
Double
them.
check it.
And we
Okay.
have to update that one also.
Is there a
I'll
second?
I'll
Any-
second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. Is Franklin the closest one? Is that closer than Waukesha?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you go right down through Muskego, down the hills
Really?
corners, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a horse that, even Burlington is.
I was gonna say Burlington is another one.
Yeah, that's a little farther. We do have an account there also, like I said, but I gotta double check and see who's on their list out there also, but.
right.
And is it
Believe
in
me,
the
I bet.
policy or agreement that they don't charge us taxes?
Right, oh yeah, we got a
Right.
tax exempt account.
Home Depot's that way, Menards.
And every once in a while, we see one, a charge come through with tax on it.
Well, when they're buying those clothing or. We had a brand-new account with the credit card, the copiers, and I didn't catch the fact that they were charging tax. But Carl did, and we voided that out, and Yeah, and Mike
Okay, I thought-
Zalecki, I've told Mike, I've given him the forms, but he keeps buying stuff with tax on it, so I just have to remind him. Because as long as he has the forms, he can apply wherever he's at for the tax exempt status.
Mhm.
Can't you give him a form?
I have
that-
it.
That shows that we're tax exempt?
He's got it.
He's got it.
Okay,
I
but
just
that's
had
in this agreement already, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, all right.
Yep, yeah, it's on account at Menards.
Yeah, so when they
Uh,
pick it up, we charge.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Use of village facilities for the Perlette Heather Ridge Park, October 3rd, 2020. Perlette is the family. They want to rent the
Heather Ridge Park.
Heather Ridge Park. And the board doesn't get involved in renting our facilities unless we're changing policy, except if they're requesting alcohol. And they are. 2 cases or something. So you have the application.
What is the insurance issue with the town versus the homeowner? When this was given, or submitted to the town, did they indicate that they had liability insurance for whatever it is that they're gonna do here at the time?
The town carries the insurance for the park itself, but if there's any type of
Personally?
violation, or that's on the person that's renting the field. I mean, if they would serve a minor, or, that has nothing to do with the town. All we're renting them is the facility and acknowledging the fact that they're drinking alcohol in the park. But that's on the person that's renting the facilities, and they understand that.
I see it. It's a silly question.
I mean, if you ever want to change that, I mean, we don't have that a lot, but every so often, some have a graduation party, it's gonna be a cold party though. Ooh.
Yeah,
I think there was more of that when they had that softball league up there.
Oh, they didn't have permission to do
I know,
that.
but they were doing it.
Do you have a history of problems when you've allowed alcohol at these rentals?
Not in the rentals, it's just, as the adult softball was the problem,
yeah.
and they never had a permit.
And that's been disbanded, though.
Yes, yes.
Make a motion to approve the Pelot Family Picnic Party for October 3rd with the understanding that they will be allowed to serve alcohol.
Pursuant to their application?
Yes.
Should we also make it
Bless you.
conditioned
Thank you.
on following, you know,
Rules and guidelines.
health guidelines from the
Right,
county and state and
CDC.
CDC?
yep, that could be included in a motion.
Probably a good idea.
Yep.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Be interesting to see them drink beer wearing masks.
We have a
Well,
little hole.
It is outside, and they say 20 to 35. I think they could probably keep their distance. I hope.
Yeah,
And I think you can eat and drink without a mask on
Yeah.
outside. So it's about as safe as you can come,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it is outside. So that's good that it's conditioned on it. I think we ought to remind them
Yes.
of that, even though they should know better. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're on to letter H, Vernon Trick or Treat, October 25th, 2020. Now, as I understand it, people have been calling.
Oh.
And we do have a standing resolution. It's always the Sunday before, 1 to 3, right? 1 to 3 p.m. And again, to me, the difference this year, of course, is our COVID situation and our, the state of Wisconsin is not doing so well right now, as everybody is probably aware, with the number of cases, new cases. But again, this is outside, and I think people are smart enough to do it. It's voluntary. I mean, if you don't want to pass out candy, you don't have to. If you don't want to send your kids out, you don't have to. My only hesitation is if things get significantly worse in the school, for example. To me, in-person school is much more important than trick or treat. So if there's an issue with respect to the school and they want us to cancel it or requesting it or whatever, we'll have to revisit it. Otherwise, if we do nothing, it's standing resolution. Or if you want to just suspend it for a year, you can do that too.
Yeah,
But
I like the standing resolution the way it is, only because they don't have to send their kids out. So that puts the decision in the hands of the residents rather than us trying to tell them how to live their life.
Sorry, the resident meaning the trick or treater or the person that they're approaching?
Both.
both, right?
Yeah,
no
you
one
don't
has
have to turn your light on or,
You don't have to participate.
Yeah.
yeah.
As
Right.
far as the time, it's the Sunday before. It just so happens this year, Halloween is on a Saturday. We could move it if you wanted to, but otherwise, people do like it Sunday afternoon. We don't have streetlights and sidewalks, so it's crazy to do it at night. And secondly, moving it just to move it to Halloween, I think a lot of the families have other activities that they do on Halloween, so to me, there's no,
Well, they've also got into a pattern.
sure, it's standing resolution. We always do it.
Now, because it says the Sunday before, means that one Sunday we'll be having trick or treat, and the next Saturday, Big Bend or other places that do it always on Halloween will be doing it.
Yep.
Gives them an opportunity to go out twice.
Double dip 'em.
Well, I think they do.
They do. Big Ben gets hit hard because of all the closeness of the houses.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned what goes on in the village of Big Bend
Yeah,
Yeah.
than out here, as far as the health issues.
They usually have it on Halloween in the dark, which is, you gotta be real careful. 'Cause
They
there's
still
kids-
do.
There's kids all over the place in
Big
Big
Ben.
Bend. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
We used to take our kids down to Big Bend because there's a lot of candy.
Yeah. they're close.
Too far to walk in our subdivisions.
I've seen golf carts and trunks of cars,
Oh, yeah.
trailers.
any further thoughts? I don't think we need a motion to reaffirm it, so.
No, I think the board is stipulating too, that if for some reason some emergency is called,
Yeah.
I know the Village of Vernon follows all CDC, county and state guidelines. If something would happen, we did have that disclaimer ready on the trick or treat notice that if anything should arise, to please watch the website and Facebook
Yep.
or call. But boy, we have the parents calling, we have the people that give out candy, everybody's calling about trick or treat, so there's a lot of people worried about it.
Worried about it,
But thank you. At least we can tell them.
yeah. But, yeah. I mean, to me, it's school-age children and the schools are much more important.
Right.
So. Okay. So we don't need to take formal action on that. Bartender license for Ms. Elizabeth Berlin. I think, Karen, if you'd tee us up on this
Yep.
one.
As you can see in the packet, everything is in order. The class has been taken, all fees have been paid. Everything in this application, there's no record, so everything is ready for the village board's approval.
No record. So,
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
any discussion? Where is she working? Where do I? Oh, the Siege, it was such small type, but I see it there. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. What's that? Is that right? Once you have your license, that's right. Correspondence, announcements, and report. First up is Village Board. We'll start with Trustee Solani.
I just want to remind or recommend to the residents to get out and vote. Maybe you want to turn off your TV, don't listen to the news anymore, but vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain about the results. That's all I have.
Trustee Wilding?
All I had was a few phone calls in regard to trick or treating. We just resolved that, so. And I think that's all I have.
Trustee Mahalik?
I'd like to echo what Trustee Solani, I was gonna say, not the same words, but basically the same thing. That voting is one of your most important rights, and I've said this many times, Trustee Solani, but if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Or criticize, excuse me. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dashik?
I agree with that statement, and I have nothing else to add for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Village Board President, I did get a call from, and I did talk to our clerk treasurer and John about this, about Heather Ridge and some tree cutting, and I think it's, I haven't heard back, but resolved for now, I think. And that was a little, I think people are cutting trees, they should stay on their own property, let's put it that way.
Do we have signs that say that it's a Vernon property?
On our parks review.
Yeah.
On
the
our parks, we do,
outdoor
Heather Ridge
trespassing.
Park is Vernon Park, but there's some outlots in Heather Ridge that are also owned by Vernon.
And that's where the problem was this time around, right?
This
in the
time was,
outlot?
it was a outlot of Heather Ridge.
Outlot
Yeah.
of the Heather Ridge Homeowners Association,
Yeah.
not ours, not Vernon's.
Yes. There's about 5 or 6 outlots in that whole PUD.
Okay.
And this is one strip of an outlot. They have like little trails that they were supposed to develop at one time, but they never did. So,
And otherwise, obviously, voting is in progress. We'll hear from the clerk treasurer on the voting hours and the procedures here momentarily, so I won't repeat that. We'll go right to John, DPW.
I'd just like to say too, we are out crack filling now, and I'd like to make sure everybody kind of slows down when we're on the road here, so I've been out with these guys flagging last week here, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that are on the phones and not paying attention, and it's just, it's pretty frustrating sometimes. They're out there, there's cars are standing there holding a sign that says slow, and they're flying past you, it's just crazy, so. But with that being said, we've been out track filling, all this week with the mastic and, trying to get as much done as we can between the rain here. Once it rains, we're pretty much shut down because it doesn't bond to the asphalt like it should, so. We're hoping for some better weather here tomorrow and next week. It's looking a little better for us, so. Been busy with that. Between the, and the off time, we've been doing some roadside mowing, widening, trying to get ready for the winter. Widen the ditches as much as possible with the mowing and stuff like that, so. Our yard is ready for the brush drop off on Saturday. That's gonna be October 3rd is, a beginning 7 AM to noon on Saturday. During the week it'll be from the 5th through the 9th, all next week. It'll be 7 AM to 3 PM. And then the following Saturday is going to be 7 AM to noon also. So I've got a list of stuff that we accept and whatnot, so, and there will be somebody there signing us, say we got volunteers covering that whole time frame. So, I'd like to thank them ahead of time. The other thing is, I know we mentioned last time we were here about that, project up on Center and Skyline with the back slope that needed to be repaired. They did have their crew out there, they got it back down there with the skid loader, managed to, push that material back up and reseed it, and everything's looking pretty good right now. It's taking shape, the grass is starting to grow, and I think we're in pretty good shape up there, and then hopefully I talked with Andy the engineer. They're in charge of kind of running that, project. They're hoping that we can get that, the silt fence removed there this year yet, before it gets, once the grass establishes and everything, but he doesn't wanna leave it in there too long, the way we might have a problem getting the contractor to come back and remove it. So if we can kinda keep an eye on that right now, and hopefully we can get that removed, and otherwise that project is looking really good up there, so everything's.
John, on the, crack filling, okay, does this intermittent rain that we've been getting cause you to stop?
Yes, we're shut down. As soon as the pavement gets wet, if it doesn't dry, we're done.
Okay.
We did a little bit last year, and we had a couple spots exactly where it was just a little damp, it peeled right off. I mean, it was night and day, so,
It's been a terrible week for that.
yeah, absolutely. So, and we're renting the equipment, and we're not getting charged for the day that it's raining, so. But like I said, if it's sunny out and we're not using it, we're gonna get charged, so that thing's moving if it's sunny out.
Question, John. A meeting or two ago, I mentioned that up on Skyline, west of Center, headed east, the sign for stop ahead, right at the top of the hill, was covered by trees. I went past it a couple days ago. I couldn't see the sign. I mean, I may have missed it, I don't know, but,
All right?
I don't know where to.
Yeah, I opened up the intersection from Longview, we opened that up because I had one person come and call me about that, it was hard to see, so I could send them up
You
there.
didn't take the sign down?
No,
Okay.
It
Then it's
should be
probably-
there.
Then it's probably there, and,
but
You
yeah,
know.
if there's a tree branch in front of it, yeah, we'll get it
well,
cleared
that's
out.
true.
Like I
That
said,
doesn't solve spring, but it's.
I just told them guys today, when we got shut down with the crack fill, for filling in, we're water monitoring today. I said, as you're going around, keep an eye on the signs and stuff like that, and
Okay.
we had a stop sign down in Scenic and Artesian, which is not ours. Got run over in the intersection. Well, they called Big Ben, and he's out in Wyoming right now, so we repaired that for them, so.
And then the stop sign that appeared, that Sheriff's Department called John to say, hey, when does stop sign come in? John said, we don't have a stop sign.
Yeah, we had an incident in a subdivision where I got called on a Sunday night, and the Sheriff's Department wanted to know about these stop signs in this intersection. It was a three-way. Well, the main drag goes through, and there should not have been stop signs there. But the neighbors, the two neighbors that lived there took it upon themselves to add stop signs on that main drag there
They
because.
didn't want people going through there,
Yeah,
the high
so
rate of speed.
we went there Monday morning and removed them, and then the
And I
guy,
have the recording on my voice machine saying, hey, somebody stole my stop sign.
yeah, I told him, you can't just be putting
saved
stop
it.
signs up wherever you
So
feel
come
like
down
it,
and
so.
Because he wants to come and ask for it. But I thought I'd save the recording so you ever want to hear him say, hey, somebody stole my stop sign.
Their complaint was that the speeding going through the subdivision. I
This
said,
is how
well,
they're gonna slow
that
it
is
down.
that is a police department issue, not a
Homeowners.
traffic
Right.
signal issue, so, I mean, it's,
Ay, ay, ay.
so I have the signs here, if he wants to come and get them, but that's,
Are they regular stop signs?
yes, they are.
Wonder where you got them from?
I would like to know that
Some
myself.
intersections are probably missing.
Are we missing any?
No, and ours are all labeled, so they're not ours as far as I can tell.
You
but-
can get them,
Yeah,
but you're not supposed to put them up.
yeah,
Ay, ay,
you can
ay.
buy them.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're older, beat up ones, like they picked them up somewhere, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's not the point. You can't just throw them up anywhere. so.
no.
Hmm.
Ay, ay, ay.
Clerk Treasurer?
I just wanted to, I hate to say it again, but the village board has not issued any peddler's permit. We are getting calls, a lot of suspicious activity, and once again, please, please, please call the sheriff's department if someone comes to your door, because there are no peddler's permits issued by this village board, and if they are, they're on the front page of the face of our website with their picture on, so people know. Just want to let the board know that the $16,000 grant that I wrote for COVID, we just got the check today, so that was all approved. Voting in the Village of Vernon begins on October 20th, goes through the 31st. Voting will be 7:30 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. On Saturdays from 9 to 1, and if those hours don't work for you, please call me and I'll make an appointment. Just reminding voters, and Vernon's doing a great job, we're getting at least 10 to 15 new registrations every single day, online, not to mention the people that are coming in, so we are getting a wonderful turnout on,
Where are they all coming from?
a lot of the kids are, new kids are, people moving in, a lot of moving. So I want to thank the residents too for getting those registrations in early, because it helps on election day, and we've got a great slate of election inspectors, very, very pleased with the turnout there, and reminding the residents again that all the voting's being done here to protect our fire department members, and just want to thank the board for getting those 2 extra machines. That's going to help the election process in the Village of Vernon. We did budget for it, you did approve it, and we greatly appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Question.
Yes, sir.
When's the deadline for absentee ballots?
To request them is the Thursday before the election,
Oh, all the way, okay.
which is really sad, because if somebody requests on the Thursday and we mail it out, they're probably not
They're
gonna
not
get it. I don't know why they don't change that law.
Yeah.
And just to tell the people that the clerks in the village in Waukesha County worked extremely for the last 3 legislative sessions to pass a law that would allow absentee voters, in-house absentee voters, to actually put their ballot in a machine. We tried for 3 years to get that approved so that they could do that for this election, but it was never approved.
On the news, Karen, tonight, they were emphasizing the fact that a lot of ballots were coming back that weren't properly signed and everything.
That happens all the time, but
You
Vernon
get-
does a great job. As soon as we know that, we either call the person, if we can get a hold of them, we call them, or
Okay, I
email
was
them.
wondering if it
If we
occurred
can't,
here.
we can't, we have a letter and we send it back to let them know that if you don't, even though our instructions, I think, are impeccable.
Yeah, they are.
We still, we'll send them back and circle it and say, if you want your vote to count, because it will not count.
Yeah, it doesn't count. It has to be witnessed.
Very few absentee ballots that go through. It's usually when it's so close to the end that we don't have time to mail it back, can't get a hold of the person. But we,
Drop them off now.
oh, yes, that's where we're catching them. Yep, and it's 24/7 at the big gray mailbox here, or at the drop slot here. We have 2 locations where people can, and Vernon does a great job of dropping them off in those drop boxes.
How's the response been in returning ballots?
Oh, maybe, 300.
Not real overpowering yet?
Not yet, but
No.
they will. It's a little early, I mean, well, for some people, no. But a lot of them are dropping them off.
Yeah, 60 days.
Much more that are dropping out that are coming in the mail.
I do like the sign, though. The sign out in the drop box here reminds everybody, sign it, get your witness address, so.
We have on both,
on-
just so people
right, that one I
realize.
noticed, but yeah.
And John did order, I hope you guys, we did not have a generator, so we did, under COVID, we're gonna put that generator so we can have that additional lighting on the sidewalks here. And then John could use it, God forbid, if he ever needs a portable generator in an emergency, at least they'd have one. But we will put that under the COVID also,
Oh,
because
good.
it's needed for this election.
Yep.
And that's all I have.
Okay, go to finances.
Sounds good?
Accounts payable, we did get a revised accounts payable, take off the tax on our new vendor, or our vendor for a copier. We didn't miss that last month, did we?
This is the
The
first
first-
invoice.
first
We always
invoice,
Another
okay.
vendor, we had the same issue with the other, and it took a while to get it corrected, but the forms are already in the check, so that when the check is mailed out, those tax exempt forms are in there. But we did not pay the tax.
Let's say 6727-1 are for DeLang Landon Financial.
Yes,
It looks like now that you've got them, those 2 there voided,
yes.
and a slightly different total on the last page
Yes.
for, who are they? What is that for?
That's the finance company that has the copiers, the new copiers that we have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't recognize the
It's a
name,
brand-
and I think, financial.
It's a brand new, they're all financed, all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
Copiers are, but this is, we have the new ones, we didn't get a bill for 3 months, and this is our first bill.
Okay.
On the same one that Jim was talking about, that trustee Lonnie was talking about, there's a charge for $1,089, and then there's a credit for $1,089. What was the,
Because in this new agreement, they agreed to give us 3 months free, so we haven't been paying for 3 months. That was part of the new deal, the new copier deal.
and I have one other question, and this has to do with use of town facilities. That was $100 from Phantom Lakes Management District.
Yes,
And they gave us $100, and is it $25 to use the facility because your credit was 75?
right, yes, if they leave our facilities in good condition, then they get the 75 back.
Okay. Having said that, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $38,078.73.
Batch 2020-1001
Thank you very much. Didn't have to lose that.
on your original one.
Oh. Yes,
Uh,
thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Manual checks. We have manual checks for, and we approve these invoices for the computer and new IT system. We approved those at the Finance Committee the other day, and also manual check to Donovan and Jorgensen to get us started on furnaces, air conditioning, and air purifiers. I'll make a motion to approve those, or ratify and approve those manual checks.
I'll second that.
What's the amount, Carol?
Yeah, manual, one was,
19,000 something, isn't it?
right, I was trying to get, well, the one was, Donovan and Jorgensen was in the amount of 5,066, and the other one was in the amount of $10,000 for a total of $15,066. I'll put that on the motion.
Okay, got it.
Did we have a second? Yes.
I'll second. Oh, no, Fred did.
Fred seconded.
Yes,
Trustee Mahalik seconded.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
got it.
Approval of village board minutes.
We did your changes.
I did drop off some changes, and I think they were made. I'll check them quick. Yeah, you just see them highlighted, right?
I think we had that floating motion out there.
Oh, yeah, we got the floating motion out. Yep. Any discussion on these minutes
Revised.
as revised today? So we're looking at the ones that have some highlights on it. Otherwise, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of September 17th, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Yay. Next village meeting dates, I'll read them. Village Board and Finance workshops, one was yesterday, September 30, but more importantly, one's coming up at October 7th, 1 o'clock. The Planning Commission workshop on zoning matters is October 6th, 2020, and that is proceeding well, as I would characterize. Village Board, October 15th, and then into November, we've got November 5 and November 19th, 7 p.m. The planning workshop starts at 1 p.m., by the way. Joint Village Board and Plan Commission, October 14th. It starts at 6 o'clock, it's joint board with the Plan Commission, and we're starting at Big Bend Elementary School. So we have 2 conditional uses and a rezoning. Staff meeting, October 15th at 12:30 PM. So we'll have a big day, big evening, October 14th, starting at 6, and then a big day, October 15th, with the staff meeting at 12:30 and a regular board meeting at 7.
On that planning commission workshop on October sixth, is that the similar meetings that we've been having?
Yes, yes, we're going to continue our,
That's fine.
yep, yeah, we're going to continue on our amendments to the zoning code. Any questions? We already got the times? I know we have a busy schedule, it seems, next meeting. So, closed session. I will make a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin State statutes as stated, as stated in the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion will require a roll call vote.
President Carl Fortner,
Yes.
trustee Jim Solani,
Yes.
trustee Gary Weldy,
Yes.
trustee Fred Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Lorene Dashick.
Yes.
Mr. President, note for record that your board voted unanimously to go into closed session.
Thank you. And again, for the public, no action is taken in closed session. If we need to, we'll reconvene into open session and take whatever action we need as discussed in closed session. I'm not anticipating very much, if anything at all. Yes, we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll reconvene at 8:30.